And good evening, everybody. This is Vinny Milady with Milady Law, the strongest name in law. The date now is June 22nd, 2022. It is now approximately 5 p.m. End of a wonderful day. Every single day is beautiful. Every single day is a blessing. Especially in a crazy place like New York, it's very nice to wake up in the morning and not have any problems or, something detrimental to your health. So, always got to count your blessings, right? So, okay. So, this is a little update here. This has been coming in a lot lately, especially I've probably had a couple of videos recently about this, specifically the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Lately, for whatever reason, they've been on a warpath, and I don't really know why. My suspicion is that the government has no money, period. And the FDA is a great cash cow for the federal government. And frankly, I mean, they could do whatever they want to do here, and they get whatever they want because people are terrified of them. So I mean, I've had this situation with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, with CARB, the California Air Resource Board. I've had this situation over and over and over again. And it's, as frustrating as it is dealing with the FDA, because I mean, in my opinion, they're basically mafia at this point. They come, they come for their protection money and then they leave. So, but, they're becoming loud again. They kind of come like in ebbs and flows, right? So, they were aggressive, then they kind of went quiet for a little bit, and then everybody kind of like shifted for COVID, right? So then they started going after people who were talking about natural holistic remedies. Vitamin C is good for immune system, whatever the case is for COVID. And then they started shifting, going against those people. And then they got quiet for a little bit, and now they're back up again. Well, they're starting up again. So then generally, one thing that they're always consistently going after is the supplement industry. For those of you who think that the supplement industry is not regulated, this notion's got to stop. It's extremely regulated. And what's really problematic is that the issue is that the regulation is so inconsistent that there's no kind of like writing on the wall. There's no particular like statutory framework realistically that kind of walks you through it. So it's just kind of this hodgepodge of a bunch of different things that gets thrown in there, and and that's how they essentially regulate it. So this particular grievance comes up as follows. There were a couple of there's something called the ingredient advisory list with the FDA. These are like the supplements that they consider whatever, like new drugs. There's no particular testing for them, and they put them on this ingredient advisory list, and they just warn everybody that these drugs might not be these products, these ingredients might not be suitable, they might not be healthy, whatever the case is. They welcome feedback, whatever, and it serves as the basis for going after all these supplement companies. Usually what happens is, let's say something, I don't know, let's just say something like hygenamine, right? So that was something that was on hygenamine. That was something that was on the list, and then it was ultimately taken off. It had kind of like it had benefits for like health and, energy and energy production and stuff like that. Especially in a country where everybody, you have a very high level of obesity in this country. So it was good for like weight loss and weight management. So obviously supplement companies want to sell this stuff. So they make these claims, really good for weight loss. Our users show on average 10 pounds lighter or whatever it is after using this after 12 weeks. Problem is that anything you say when it comes to these supplements, anything you say, any kind of health claims you make to them, whether they're healthy, you say they're healthy, you say they put on muscle mass, you say they help with your immune system, anything you say is going to be construed by the FDA as converting that into now suddenly this medical device, a new drug, and then they're going to regulate it, and then they're going to jump all over you, and they're going to fine you and take a bunch of your money, because they're going to say that you're saying that this product does all these great health things. We don't have any FDA approved certification. We don't have FDA approved research that we like. Therefore, you're violating the law, and give us money, 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 money. So the FDA had all these ingredients a couple of years ago on the advisory list, and it keeps growing. And then after a while, I want to say maybe like last year in May, they took off four main ingredients in supplement and weight loss products and supplemental products, that they took it off the advisory list. It was alpha hydroxy laxogen, it was hygenamine, hordenine, and octopamine or something. I could barely pronounce that one. I never used the last one. But like hygenamine and hordenine are popular, right? So those are very popular. If you look at your weight loss pills or whatever the case is, bodybuilders should know all this stuff. If you look at your pills for weight loss, weight management, you're going to see them all the time. So they took those 4 products off the ingredient advisory list. Presumably, when they take it off the ingredient advisory list, that means that they really have nothing to say about it. They, when they take it off the ingredient advisory list, what they're saying is they don't know if it's included or excluded as dietary supplement. It appears to be a legitimate dietary ingredient. It appears to be generally recognized as safe, or it appears that it doesn't need pre-market notification because maybe it comes from some natural source. So, the conclusion is that these products, for whatever reason, fell off the advisory list and might be generally regarded as safe, which is something that you always want with the FDA because they don't bother you. So, here we are. That happened, I want to say, like in May 2021 or something. A year passes by. They're sending letters to people again. Hey, your product contains, hydramine. Your product contains hordenine. Why? Right? Why are you jumping? Like, you just took it off the advisory list. So why suddenly is it a problem again? Where does this come from? Where's the consistency? So this sparked some interest in the industry. So now certain magazines, writers, journalists are starting to ask questions about this. They want to start reporting on this. Like news aggregate websites for health industry, Natural Products Insider is one of them. They have articles out there, and the articles question these things. They speak to industry insiders. You usually see the same names over and over again. You always see that guy Rick Collins in upstate New York. When you could afford Rick Collins, use Rick Collins. When you can't afford Rick Collins, use me. It's established in this industry. No competition there. I have a poorer group of people that use me for services. So anywho, so they go around there asking people what their opinions are. Everybody has some kind of opinions. Everybody has some kind of conclusion. The FDA doesn't want to turn nothing off. The FDA doesn't want to give up their right to go after people. So I am offering this video. I'm putting this video out there right now because until we see these 3 things with the FDA, until these 3 things actually happen, we will always have chaos here. And I mean, from my perspective, I would love every single person in the supplement industry who gets a letter from the FDA, a warning letter, to push back on them and do not let them do this. The problem is that everybody's so afraid of the FDA. Everybody's so afraid of the money that it costs to fight these people. Everybody's so afraid of all these things that what happens is you wind up not challenging them and they do whatever they want to do. And your complacency, just like during COVID, your complacency is what makes this worse. That 14 days to flatten the curve wound up being 14 months because of your complacency. So if you guys in the industry want to start pushing back on want the FDA to get their shit together, you guys need to start pushing back. The supplement industry needs to stop playing games. It needs to stop acquiescing and just giving into whatever they want. So listen, here's, in my opinion, Vinny Miletti's opinion, here are the 3 big things that the FDA needs to do in order to get their shit together, and the industry should push for this. I would love to see I wish there was a lobby for the supplement industry. There really isn't. Because if there is, I know. If there was, I know. I'd be a member of it. I wish there was a lobby for the supplement industry, but there really isn't. The first thing that the FDA really needs to do is you need consistency. They are so inconsistent. They are all over the place. One day something's good. One day something's bad. One day something's on the ingredient advisors. One day it's not. Your whole life, vitamin C is the greatest thing in the world for your immune system. Because of COVID, your vitamin C is bad. There's no consistency whatsoever from the FDA. The only thing that is consistent about the FDA is that Big Pharma comes in and buys these people. There's the only thing that's consistent. There is nothing consistent with the FDA. They are so all over the place. No 2 opinions are ever the same from them. No 2 warning letters ever have the same resolution. They are completely all over the place. And as any business owner knows, you cannot prepare adequately for your business when there's so much inconsistency, because you need to be able to predict and anticipate what the market's going to do. If you cannot accurately predict and anticipate what the market's going to do, you're going to lose out on opportunities. You're going to lose out on potential, growth, whatever the case is. I mean, obviously you always want to adapt, but you can't, when it's hard, you can't adapt when there's like inconsistent law. It's very difficult because how are you going to prepare going forward, right? So they need consistency. The FDA needs consistency. You need a consistent guideline, a consistent set of rules. They cannot say this is on the advisory list today and then a month later take it off. They cannot say it's on the advisory list a month before, then take it off today. They can take off, well, actually, they can take it off as much as they want. I like to see them take off everything, but they can't do that. The inconsistency is extremely problematic. That's number one. So the FDA needs to get consistent. Number two, labeling standards. The FDA needs to get their shit together with labeling standards. You have your labels for cosmetics, you have your labels for nutrition, right? So, but the issue is there needs to be some kind of like standard there needs to be some kind of standard labeling process to where, like a manufacturer or a company that does a labeling, a packager, could just literally go to the FDA's website, type in what their product is, and the label's already printed out for them. Like, that's really what they need. And as long as those minimum requirements are met, no label should be a problem. And that's really, really, really important. So that really needs to be important. The FDA, they make all little kind of caveats, right? Let's say your product has some kind of dietary fiber in it, or let's say you have some kind of artificial sweetener in there. Depending on what you have in there, there are little inconsistencies that kind of throw off everything, and they don't merge, they don't melt well with each other, right? So that's like a huge issue, right? Labeling standards are a huge issue, and kind of going off these labeling standards, it's what is correct to actually label and to advertise. That's another big thing too. So the FDA again, I don't want the FDA to be involved in anything. I think they're a terrible agency. I don't want them to regulate nothing. I hate regulation. But if you're gonna regulate, you need to be consistent and you need to have expectations. I think the FDA, if they really wanted to give a shit, if the industry was smart, the industry would push for the FDA to have certain labeling standards. What can you say? What can't you say? Dr. Marcola is the greatest example of this, is Dr. Marcola, because he recently received this warning letter that said something to the effect of like, what you're selling for vitamin D and vitamin C is like illegal because it's like a new drug. What are you talking about? Of course, your whole life, vitamin C has been good for your immune system. Your entire life, for 5,000 years of human being existence, or whatever, 10,000 years of human being existence, you knew vitamin C was good for your immune system. Like, you just knew it. Everybody knew it. I mean, as an Italian American, when you got a headache, you take the blood orange bags, you put them on your eye. Everybody knew orange citrus and stuff is good for you. It's good for anti-inflammation. It's good for your immune system. It's good for all kinds of stuff. It's good for healing in the body. But for some reason, when COVID is around, the FDA decided to change. And it's that kind of inconsistency that how can you dispute just generations worth of knowledge and just ignore it? And then, okay, no, now it's a new drug. So like, no company wants to just promote nothing, right? No one wants to just say, okay, here's vitamin C. Maybe standard process. I think standard process might do that. Okay, vitamin C, boom. But you gotta know what you're buying it for, right? You can't just not know. So I mean, so there needs to be there must be labeling standards. So remember, the first part is consistency, right? The second part is your labeling standards. We need correct labeling that you could repeat over and over again in what you put on these labels and in what's proper marketing and labeling for these products. That is critical if we're going to have any kind of like advancement in the FDA's process. And the third item, and this is really big, is if the FDA, if these little communist terrorist bullies are going to sit there and require you to have pre-market certification, if they're going to require it, they need to permit an affordable process. There is no affordable process for that. It is so expensive for testing. I mean, I remember this from car parts with the EPA. It was like $4,000 to run a test on an aftermarket product for emissions. It was $4,000. And sometimes you would want 5 or 6 different testing results, right? So here you are spending $16,000, $24,000, $20,000 on testing. You haven't sold one product yet. You haven't sold one product. How can you possibly introduce anything into the market when you can't even afford to get your foot off the ground? Now, this goes to like another theory, because my theory behind that is that this is old money protecting their industry, right? So, for instance, when it comes to like emissions, I learned pretty quickly that the only ones who can afford emission standards and afford this retooling are people like Ford, people like GM. So these aftermarket manufacturers who, invent this great new product for an air filter that does a great job with emissions, you never get to sell it because it's illegal. Because unless you have the testing prior, which you can't afford, you know. And by the way, some of those products really outperform the OEM, like really outperform OE. And supplement companies the same way. You can't, no matter how great the product is, you can't afford to bring it out. You can't afford the testing. You can't afford the certifications or anything like this. And there's really no database that you could just access online and find it. So that's the third part. There needs to be an affordable process in order to have your pre-market. So look, this is the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is the FDA has been on a warpath lately. It's sad. I don't like it. I wish they weren't, but they are. And for whatever reason, you're going to have to go through it. The supplement company needs to get together. The supplement company needs to stop being afraid of the FDA. Stop being afraid of the bullies and terrorists. Remember, what they tell you when you were in school, right? You had to stand up to bullies, right? You couldn't just let the bullies come and pick on you every day. The FDA comes, the mob comes, they take their, the mob comes, they bully you, they threaten to fine you and this, no problem, give me $100,000. And then they go away. They come back 2 years, 3 years later, So, you can't, that's not nice. It's not nice. You can't run a business like this. You can't run a business with a constant threat of bullies around you. When you were a kid, you punched a bully in the face, right? So my suggestion is when the FDA knocks on your door, you punch the FDA in the face is my suggestion. But whatever. So look, the big three here is, if there's going to be any, you should always push back on the FDA. The big three that the FDA needs in order to finally make some kind of headway and to kind of cure like this really stupid situation that they do, and this just the market, the malaise that they're putting in the marketplace right now. They need to be consistent with their application of their laws and rules and what's banned and what's not banned and what's on the advisory list and what's not. They need to be consistent. They need legitimate labeling standards that are articulable, that you could track later on. Maybe there's a database. Maybe it could tell you overall what's right to say, what's not right to say. They can't have these broad general guidelines that just assume everything around you. So for instance, something like vitamin C. You can't, if someone says vitamin C is good for the immune system, that is not turning it into a medical device. That is not turning it into into a new drug. That is just telling you vitamin C is good for you. And you've always known that your whole life. You've learned that in elementary school. You've learned that in those little Holt books from Holt Sciences when you were a kid. Okay? So consistency, they need proper labeling. Oh, and I keep forgetting, but they keep saying the proper labeling needs to be applied to the marketing. What you can and can't say, how you set up, what the font size shouldn't matter, but sometimes, how you do your font size and everything. Labeling needs to be consistent. The application of the rules and law need to be consistent, and there needs to be an affordable process. If you're gonna require pre-market notification, then you need to make it affordable for people so people could actually compete in this marketplace. Otherwise, it's gonna be just as disgusting as the auto industry, where the OE reigns supreme because they're the only ones that can afford retooling. They're the only ones that can afford, standardized testing, and no one else can afford it. So that's the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video today is to just rant a little and update everybody on the FDA, because the FDA is psychotic, and I hate the FDA. And much like everything else, I hate basically almost everything with the government. And Milady Law has really, essentially, from just defending companies, I think we've kind of just went into kind of like just fighting the government on regulatory matters. I feel like that's all we're doing right now, and the FDA is no different. So certainly, I hope this video was informative. I hope this video makes you unusually motivated to go ahead and go out there and go punch an FDA guy in his face. You definitely should not give in to just the bullying, the pressure from the FDA. They will not learn their lesson until people push back. And that's really what it boils down to. Take them to court. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to waste money. That's really what it boils down to. Don't give in to the bullies. Don't give in to the mob. Defend yourself. Always stay unusually motivated. That's the name of the firm. You know what? Because if you didn't care and you didn't want to get involved in this business, then no problem. Get out of business. Go home, sit on your couch. Go take a nice union job. That's fine. But when you want to be a move in this industry and you want to be revolutionary, you better be ready to throw some punches. You better be unusually motivated. And that's how we roll in this place. So as always, yours in law, love, and lifts. If you have any questions, any concerns, certainly feel free to reach out to me. The website, www.miladylaw.com. Go to the Contact Us page. Leave something in the comments below. Subscribe. Always subscribe. You get all kinds of new cool updates all the time. I can't believe I got like almost 5,000 followers, which is crazy, by the way. So thank you very much. I think that's hysterical. Apparently, you guys must love this deep-ass Guinea accent, and and yeah, so that's it. So certainly sign up to the newsletter. Let us know if you have any issues. We'd love to help you, whatever you do. And as always, yours, laws, and love and lifts. This is Vinny Miletti signing out. Miletti Law, the strongest name in law. Peace.